you have to commit things to yourself, not to the world, that I will do this, I'll do that. So make sure you stick to a broader plan of your life, and then.
Hey, and a very warm welcome. This is Sujitha, and I'm so glad to be talking to you on this Outlook podcast, a show meant to change your outlook on life. This is a very first episode, and the guest I have with me is a very special individual. He is an alumni of Indian Institute of Management, Indore, one of the premier institutions for the management studies in India. And he is also one of the 4 blind persons to have completed the CFA certification and the first person to have received the CFA charter. This finance professional has got 5 years of rich experience in the finance services industry. Being a digital minimalist that he is, he uses them so sparingly and lives life with a very disciplined approach, which is quite unlikely and opposite to me. And all that he is, I am not. And not only this, whatever he does in his profession, say credit risk assessment, product control, investment banking generation, all this I've seen only in the pages of the fiction done by a female lead in the particular fiction. And he is doing all that was done by her in the real life, in his real life. He, in his capacity as the secretary of NGO called Blind Graduates Forum of India, facilitates knowledge sharing session each month that benefits around 150 persons with disabilities living across India. In 2012, he emerged runner-up in a contest conducted by the Korean Society for the Rehabilitation of Persons with Disability that tested the IT skills of persons with disability. And in this contest, he emerged a runner-up, beating up 30 people that represented around 130 countries across Asia and Africa. Being a determined and dedicated person that he is, there were instances in which he was not allowed to take the calculator, which is speech enabled, on the examination hall especially. So what he did was, beforehand he had memorized the keystrokes and the entire layout of the physical calculator, and he directed the scribe to use it. And there were also instances in which books in accessible formats, in the formats to be able to be read by persons with visual impairment, was not available. So he went to the extent of producing them on his own without asking his parents also, by scanning, typing, or whatever ways that he could. As long as he was able to see to some extent, he went to the extent of using magnifiers and took the help of a table lamp and read until the sweat moisturized his lens that he was using beyond the spectacles or the glasses that he was wearing. Sometimes I call him the numbers guy, but what is more important than the numbers on his CV, indeed, which is very big, is the number of people that he has impacted personally. He's not only a go-getter, but also a great giver, a good mentor, a great friend to any person with disability. So help me welcoming Ajay Minocha, a man with a kindly heart and a very loving and lovely smile. Before we dive deep into the conversation, I had a quick announcement to make. So there will be a time lag between we post the Outlook podcast and it is available on the podcast stand or the spaces or the spots. So if you want to hear them as fresh as in they are produced, do subscribe to Self-Development with Sujitha on YouTube so that you get the podcast as in they're produced before the time lag that takes place when they are available on the Spotify and other platforms. I'm so glad that we are doing it together at last.
Thank you. Pleasure is all mine.
Um, it's like I've been waiting for this too long, and I should tell you that it's like 3 years back. One fine day, I Googled you. Uh, Googling is a part of my job. It's, as you call PDF the bread and butter, your bread and butter. So, Googling is
Okay.
such for me. And this time it was not for professional reason, though. There was a reason. I know you don't like surprises, but I want to keep it a surprise why I Googled you. So I Googled and researched, and then I landed on your inbox. So after that, it was really nice knowing a wonderful person. And
Inbox, as in?
inbox, as in I mailed you.
Yeah, I mean, it probably can be more clear here. Yes.
Yeah, okay. Sorry. So yes, I mailed you. And you
Yes.
had a very curious question. Um, so it was started with that, and it was like knowing a very nice human being, should I say? Okay, and just I don't know where to start. The very first thing is, it's accepting one's blindness, and I think you uh, became fully blind around 2011. Am I correct?
Yes.
So that was around 2011. So accepting and coming to terms itself is a big thing for any individual, right? So in my case, at least I should say no, even though I was born blind, but still for me also, like coming to terms and accepting it myself is the biggest challenge which I came over not so very recently. Until very recently, I had so many inhibitions and what do you call? What is that word, man? What?
Confidence.
Self-consciousness. Yeah, no,
Okay.
self-consciousness, awkwardness. I very recently, not a year ago, like it is very fresh. I told my mother, I feel like an embracement accompanying you all guys when you go out. So all that, not accepting or not feeling you're full, you're complete, all that is there to an individual, but you accepted it very, very coolly, and also you made your family members understand it. So, can you tell me about it? I want to really know how that happened, and very quickly also it happened, right? In your case?
So, in my case, I was not the first one who was born with a vision impairment. It's kind of a genetic situation. So, my granddad had it, although it wasn't as severe as it was in my. It became in my case later on. But yes, my family did have, and then my father's cousins. So my family did have some amount of knowledge that this is possible. And when it happened, it was first diagnosed when I was 2 years old. So I would say a basic acceptance was there. They definitely wanted me to make the most out of whatever I can and study in a mainstream school so that I also have enough exposure. When I got to know about say talking softwares and assistive technology, that was the first time I had a confrontation with them in my life. And they wanted, as per the doctors or ophthalmologist suggestions, they wanted that I should see as much as I can to do everything. But I said that if something doing it the blind person's way gives me better grasp at things and gives me a better speed and accuracy, I would love to do it that way rather than just sticking to what someone has just advised me. So that was the first time when I accepted, and later on when uh, it started diminishing. Like I realized the distance between my face and book was reducing very, very gradually. So then I told them one fine day that, look, this is the issue. And I think even while going out on the roads, I don't feel comfortable, but I don't want my mobility to go away. So there will be two things from say January 2012. One, I will not be reading print anymore. I'll be shifting full time to scanning and reading through e-text. And two, I will be using a white cane whenever I go out. So, and acceptance also happened because my first like my computer instructor from NAB Faridabad, Mr. Mohammad Yusuf, he happened to be the first blind person with whom I interacted at length. So his attitude towards life and mobility and about a lot of things, it inspired me a lot. I was like, okay, it's not that big of a limitation. So that's how it came. And then, as they say, rest was, I won't say it wasn't difficult, but if I had accepted, then I was like, I won't have it any other way. It's either my way or no way. So that's how it moved. And later on, of course, my family also realized that it's going well.
That's great. But did it happen, very, I cannot really fathom, which was like very boldly you said that from January 2012 onwards, I will not be reading print and I will be using a white cane, which seems to be a simple statement. But was there anything, in your mind that you had to make any confrontation and then coming out and saying it to the world, or it was like, it happened very simply, as you said?
I had a very strange feeling of calmness over me because when you are a person with low vision, at least I observed this, and I guess a lot of persons with low vision would relate that, when you are a person with low vision, you spend most of your time to actually figure out you fit in the sighted society or the blind society. So unfortunately, the two paradigms or the so-called societies or communities are referred differently by a general public, which shouldn't be the case, but unfortunately that is the case as of now. So a person with low vision feels stuck to the different sides, I would say every day or even multiple times in a day, in a lot of situations. So when I finally lost my vision, it was a strange sense of calm that, okay, now finally no more tug of war. It's blindness, which means it's blindness. That's it. So that helped me to overcome quite a lot of challenges that, I mean, now this is permanent and you have to build over it.
So there was nothing as such that was like conversations that you had to make inside your mind, accept this, and all that. It was a natural
I
evolution.
honestly didn't happen because of two reasons. One, which I said earlier, that I felt a sense of calm because now there is no more confusion. And two, I had already, like, it happened in 2012, but I had already started learning technology and living life to an extent. The way of a visually impaired person, in terms of tech, in terms of interacting with people. So it widened my horizons quite a lot. Like I used to uh, grab this. I used to literally like write to a lot of people from Access India and other social groups to seek guidance about career paths and all that, because I was doing my graduation then. So I realized that hey, all is not that difficult. I mean, vision impairment is something which is permanent, so let's focus on something else. Let's focus on, say, career, because if you are born in India, you are born in India, so you don't say that why am I not born in a richer country. Or if you are born in say a place with adverse climate, you don't say that why am I not born with something which is probably a bit more easier. So I mean, I took it that way.
That was so nice. As always, this outlook, that I'm going really. Yes, why fret about things that you cannot change? That is always that you tell me, right? I accept
Exactly.
which you cannot change. and think what next is. Uh, but one interesting thing that you made, no, that about the gray area, which unfortunately uh, people with low vision have to navigate. So, would you say something on that, since you have been on that side for some time? So, what society you think have to make? What is the understanding that each individual in the society should have towards people with low vision?
I would say it's pretty simple to understand. It's pretty simple to say, but hard to understand.
Okay.
Um, it's like every person is different, which means, and every person, and one person can also behave differently during different situations, different time of day. So some persons could see well during night, some could see well during the day, some could see well during when it is well lit, some could see not so good when it is well lit. So it basically, communication is the only way. Ask what you can see and what you cannot see. And to persons with low vision also, communicate as much as you can. Don't shy away from your condition. That is the only thing which can help reduce or bridge that gap of integration.
Yes. So all the time, remaining in the shell. So people sometimes forget to communicate and shy away from communicating. That would really not help. So yes, you said it was like very practical. Somebody says Janjian way, or I practically so Ajay's way. Putting it so bluntly that I'm going to be this way after 2012. So that was the case, but family wise, no, like were they very much ready, or what were the tactics or the returns and anything that you made with them to make the adjustments and acceptance?
I would say communication, as I said earlier, it helped me a lot. Like we generally had very comfortable relationship with our parents. So when I told this, it was difficult for them, but they did come up
No,
to the
Ajay, sorry
challenge.
to
They did
interrupt
rise
you.
up.
Wait. I've got something to tell you. Yes, I do have a very great relationship with my parents, with my sister and everything. But still, it was not until quite recently they accepted all that I said, that I can do this and I can do that. I love me to do this. Give me this, give me this task. Let me do something, and then only you'll realize how potential I am. So that was so hard, for me, even though I can say that, I would definitely say that one of the best relationships with the parents and the kid could have. But it was not at all very easy. So I really would want to know, like,
I
what did
would
you
say the
literally?
best term is also subjective. I Let's put it this way. It was very open, one, and two. I have been quite rebellious. So I one fine day I didn't wait for them to buy me a white cane. I just brought it one day at home, and I said, now from tomorrow this will be accompanying me.
Okay.
So it was uh, it was like this way. If I'm going out with friends, I'm going out with friends. So initially it was a bit bad because they used to say like, you are just telling them, you're not asking for our permission. I was
Correct.
like, you trust me, I trust you, I won't do anything which is unacceptable. But if you expect me to sit at home, that's not going to happen.
Superb. This is what I wanted. Okay, so that's how you made your family accept.
So
And
I realized one more thing.
yes,
No, while I was preparing for my career, I had, like, after talking to a lot of people, I had zeroed in on doing an MBA because that interested me, or that fascinated me quite a lot. So
yes.
I was like, although Delhi also has couple of like very good colleges, but I was like, no, Delhi this time, because in during my graduation, I joined a college which was near to my home just to make it convenient for myself. I was like, this time I'll make sure that I go away from home and I live in a hostel, because that is the only way, one, I can grow independent, and two, they can stop protecting me.
That was very. Mhm. great tactical decision that you've taken. So
Thank you.
you went to that extent, and okay. So I didn't know this. My drilling, and I didn't know this in all these years. It is okay. So that was it. Then what all things that you strategically, and if I ask you, strategic things that you did, like mobility, computers, and all that. So, and also seeking out mentors. So what all the things that you did? Anything that you did differently, which you would attribute to your success after acceptance?
Acceptance was, of course, the first thing. Then, of course, acceptance of not just your disability, but also that knowledge comes in different shapes and sizes and from different directions. So, you need to be objective while talking to people, be it from any field or anyone. If someone has something to teach you, or some has something to offer, that can come in any shape. So you should keep your ears and eyes and mind open for knowledge. And
So
then
what?
uh, generally, I mean, be it even if someone used to be my junior, I didn't used to shy away from asking questions on over emails. Say a person with blindness, if he or she knows more about something, I would definitely ask, and still I do that way. And yes, another thing is, be disciplined in your life. You have to commit things to yourself, not to the world, that I will do this, I'll do that. So make sure you stick to a broader plan of your life. And then yes, there is also unwinding is also equally necessary.
Which you
Like,
do.
be it reading books, be it going out with friends.
That's why you don't pick your
That
calls
helps
whenever.
quite a lot.
Yes, very much. Um,
I won't say I don't like multitasking, but if I'm in one moment, I think that moment it deserves my full attention. So why to
Perfect.
pick a call in front of someone and disrespect him or her? So
Absolutely. Sorry.
that's why.
Absolutely. Okay. So,
Yes.
and how I know some of the moves that you made. So you learned technology, you sought out mentors, and I've also heard from sources, that you learn mobility by yourself.
The
So,
typical journalist way. Yeah.
so what would you suggest someone who have really not, unlike you, was not a rebel and still sticking to what the family says and going with them in the cars and, moving on planes, but not on the roads on their own. So what would you say to,
I would
okay, that
say
would be
mobility. I would say
two steps,
mobility
two
is
steps, mobility in two steps, if I may ask.
one. Mobility is an attitude, not a skill. Uh,
Yes.
you need to realize that no, you can move around without any major accident, and you also need to seek help wherever required. Moving out independently does not mean that doing it all alone. It just means that leaving a familiar, comfortable hand and moving into unknown and asking for help whenever necessary. So you can, so if I go to a Mumbai railway station, I would definitely not know the station layout. I would just ask someone to help me. Of course, the ground research helps that this number of train I have to catch, and this has to be caught from platform number 3. So I would say I want to go to 3, and there would definitely be someone who can accompany you or guide you. So I would say make an elaborate plan wherever you want to go, and then uh, asking for help wherever necessary is definitely possible. Even when you're a woman, it's good to project that it's good to walk straight, and it's good to keep yourself safe distance. And it's not that all streets are filled with men, so there are women also. So I've seen a lot of my female friends who are fiercely independent, and I don't see them finding any difficulty in finding any, for that matter, female who can help them cross the road or board the train. So I would say don't shy away, and believe in yourself that you can move around. So that's the biggest thing. And then you can use technology like Google Maps and all for having a better overview while you are moving around in, say, a bus or another vehicle, so that you don't miss your stops, or the taxi guy or the rickshaw guy does not take you for a ride. So that's it. I mean, it's it's more like an attitude shift. You have to first stop getting scared, then only it can work.
And also, not only the scare part of it, and also embracing the white cane, as you said already. Some people have hesitation also when in terms of holding a white cane or something.
I would say with that hesitation, and I would be little blunt here, but
Yes.
I won't be apologetic. I would say that you're losing out on, if you feel embarrassed by holding white cane, you are losing out on a lot of good things in your life,
True.
because even your family won't believe you till the time you show results, and that is the truth. So might as well carry something which gives you independence, rather than just sitting at home and practicing the art of, say, look, I look normal, no one can guess that I am blind. You are not looking normal. That just shows that how dependent you are on just familiar set of hands, or how difficult it can be for you when you are thrown in uncharted waters. So I would say embracing white cane is absolutely necessary.
Awesome. So good. Okay, so you did seek out some mentors. So if you can share with me, it's not about the giver that I asked you for permission yesterday. It's not about that. I'll come to it later. But in the initial stages, you had multiple mentors. So apart from the technology mentor that you had, so I'm asking about a wide spectrum. Can you share with me any impactful influence or wisdom that still sticks with you from your initial league of mentors that you reached out when you turned fully blind?
So I talked with a lot of people, and mm, from different professions, to just get an idea as to how things can be. Then there was this person with and a lot of them, even those with whom I've talked, they had a resentment against, say, private sector does not hire blind people, or it's so difficult to do this, it's so difficult to do that. There was this one person from I'm Lucknow, Vishal Jain, whom is still a
Sorry, I didn't
very
get
very
that.
good
I am
friend as well
Lucknow.
as a
I
mentor.
missed the word. Sorry,
There
sorry.
was
Come again.
there was a person from I'm Lucknow called Vishal Jain, who is still a very good friend and a mentor to me. So when I talked to him, I was like, okay, I mean, it's not that difficult to be calm. I find it very calm to talk to him, to ask. So even if the placements and all were a difficult topic, or are still a difficult topic for a person with blindness, he was like, yes, you can do this, you can do that, you can probably make make an FAQ document for the employers. You can make your placement committee aware about your challenges, but then you can navigate. And when it comes to living alone in the city, he also shifted to a different city. He was like, you can ask for help, and generally when people know, you can learn some basic things and it works out. So I mean, that attitude inspired me quite a lot, and that is something which I completely borrowed from him. Like, boss, this attitude, give this to me. I I won't even need your permission. So that is something like unless or until you are into it, you won't know if it works or not. So might as well take a plunge and do it.
Okay.
And
So you,
thereon there were a lot
sorry.
of other people. Like just recently, 3-4 years back, when I was looking for if someone has pursued CFA, I found this person, Mr. Dinesh Kaushal. So he he had recently, like at that time, he had cleared level 1. And I was like, okay, what was your motivation? He was like, I was reading about the 2008 financial crisis, and then it led to reading quite a lot more about finance. And then I realized, okay, why not take a qualification? So just like that, I jumped. I was like, that's awesome. I mean, doing a big course just out of interest is something which very rare breed of people can do. So that inspired me quite a lot. And uh, I definitely had a mentor as well as a study partner or a friend to talk about the course and things. So it became so much easier.
This has been a great trait of yours, no, seeking out people. And after, I had this always in mind, because sometimes, losing eyesight completely, people take at least a couple of years or so, and then they gather their, perspective to come out of it and also start a career or do something different. But in your case, there was no time, no gap. Like, everything happened,
I
you
would
know,
say I was
textbook
lucky
precision.
that
So how?
my
Hmm.
family was, I would say I was lucky that my family was supportive, and I was in a right frame of mind. But I would say there is nothing like a textbook precision. So even if you have to take a gap, it's perfectly fine. I mean, you are not answerable to anyone except yourself. If you are taking time to I learned computers in 2 months. Someone can take a year, or someone can take
Absolutely.
maybe more than that, or someone can take just 1 month. So it's up to
Definitely,
a
yes.
person's a personal comfort to learn mobility, to learn computers. If you know that you are on a right track, then don't fret on the fact that I have wasted 2 years to learn
Perfect,
things.
yes. True,
So
true,
I
true,
would say
true.
there is nothing like textbook precision. So no. Acceptance means not only accepting your blindness but also accepting yourself. You have to first respect yourself, accept yourself, then only you can expect some respect from the world. So if you respect yourself, and then you start learning things, one, it becomes so much easier, and two, even if it's difficult, you won't lose your sleep over it. So it's perfectly fine to have a gap and take a pause, reflect on things, redevelop yourself, re-engineer yourself, and then back with a bang.
This that's also a way of doing it. Definitely, I'm not saying it's wrong, but I have even come across instances wherein people go into depression. So, what was that frame of mind, that you had, which if you can say that, people need not go into depression or something, like what was that, go at it attitude that you had?
I would say it was my state of mind that it was I was unusually calm and this and that. Depression is also, it's, as I said, it's not a wrong thing. It's perfectly
Definitely.
fine to even be depressed and even to seek out professional help if required,
Perfectly,
because
yes.
you know th- a depression does not mean a person who is lunatic or person who is idiot.
Definitely,
Depression
yes.
just means that the coping mechanism needs some work. You do take antibiotics, right? So
Exactly, yes.
why then there is a stigma around depression or around mental health? It is possible. Blindness is, I mean, it's not a small thing. It's like losing one complete censoring capability. Probably 85% of an average person's learning happen from your eyesight. So if you lose that, it's a big
It's
blow,
not
and
quite
it's,
unnatural.
I
Yeah,
won't
it's,
say
it's
it's
not.
nothing. Yeah, it won't say it's nothing. So it's completely okay to not feel okay about it, to cry about it, to be depressed about it. But then, as I said, you can accept yourself, or at least reach out so that people can help you. So uh, depression is nothing wrong. Even if you are depressed, say that, okay, I have been depressed and I need help. There is
Perfect.
nothing wrong in it.
But your state of mind was like calm, and then what would you call at that time? What was the state of mind that you had around back then?
I would say my answer would remain the same. This question is coming up almost the third time. Nothing more than calmness and probably acceptance.
Great. Yes. Okay. So now it was like a very grueling MBA study, and then after that, CFA. Even though it happened sometime after your MBA. So, but I'm putting it together because it involves studies and all that. So, what would you say as a management professional? The some of the hacks that you had for coping up with all tough regime.
I would say first, uh, decide what you want to do. What can uh, you know what actually can give you a sense of directions. uh, Say in my case it was finance, and I also took my own time to figure it out. My first internship was in HR, and then I realized probably this is not for me, and I started liking finance more. So you should take your own time to decide. There is no one shoe fits all. It's not that this person is doing CFA, okay, I'll also do CFA. One person may be horrible at it, the other person may be just made for it. So you need to figure out your own comfort zone. Then um, in internet is a boon for us. Information is just fingertips away. Seek out information as much as you can. Seek out relevant people, those whom you can talk to. Never shy away from talking to people from related field. We have LinkedIn, we have specific groups for visually impaired like Access India, like there are a lot of Facebook groups as well. So never shy away from asking questions. Ask as many questions as can, and then make a roadmap. um, Break things into smaller chunks. And I would say, uh, if you think that, don't start with very very ambitious goals. Start with something like, okay, I would do 70% of it, then I would do 80% of it. Gradually you realize that you will do 120% of it as well. So uh, start with smaller chunks of work and gradually start scaling up. So that has helped me. And I used to follow my timetable diligently. Like if it's 2 hours study, then it has to be 2 hours study.
That's something. Yes, I had observed you do that, and that was really so stunning. That was like I had seen myself how you did, at least when you were doing CFA third level. Like I think that was for the last level examination.
Yes. So even though if you are on a job, if you realize that okay, 1 hour is or 2 hours are for study, then
Mm,
in that time it's only study.
yes, perfect. So, and now to the transition to the corporate environment after you did your MBA and to the profile that you are in. So, what would you tell me, or when something strikes as an important achievement as of now? I know it's like you would always say that you have a long way to go, and I really wish for that, for all your ambitions like to come true. But at this moment, at this stage, what would you think or deem as an important achievement in terms of work life? And what is responsible? Tell me, it's like somebody who wants to go to the corporate world, and what is the tactics or mindset or what you did differently that made that achievement possible?
So I would say no. It's been almost 5 years. Have been in corporate sector. Initially, I was in Delhi. Then I realized that I'm not getting as much exposure as I should. I moved to Mumbai. Then I realized that maybe I need a change of a job. I moved to a different
Exposure as
company.
in a different domain or place, or what? Exposure as in?
Mm, A complex set of work, maybe
Okay. Mm.
the kind of work which I should be doing at that level, which I was not getting.
Okay.
So, and I took a different job. In that different job, also, I realized that probably this work is not for me. I took an internal transfer to a different team, and it worked out wonderfully well. So, I would say you have to keep, as I said earlier, keep yourself open for experiences. You can only figure out your own comfort zone. There is no one size fits all. Although mentors can guide what can work, what cannot work, or what should work, what shouldn't work, but at the end of the day, it's your own judgment. And then um, uh, corporate world seeks results. So there are times when things are not accessible. So never shy away from highlighting such things that which are not accessible. But before you highlight, make sure that you know your screen reading software correctly, because there have been so many cases where I have seen people complaining about so many things, but when I had a chat with them, I realized that they just didn't know how to operate it. So there is a difference between you knowing your software well and you calling it inaccessible. So I would say things like JAWS. You learned it once, then it's like no, it's like a vehicle which needs services at regular intervals. So you need to do refreshers. There are a lot of webinars online by Freedom Scientific, and there are new product releases and stuff. And similar is the case with NVDA as well. And even if you have to buy a course material, like Freedom Scientific sells it, and we Access also sells a very good course material on their website. There is another US based institute called Access Technology Institute, who have quite good up to date material on Office applications and Windows. And of course, the my favorite is the MOOCs, the massive online platforms where like Coursera, like edX, where you learn quite a lot of mainstream skills like programming, fraud, like finance, like everything. So I would say you have to invest in yourself first. That is the only way to survive and flourish. And the setbacks are there in every person's life, but you need to be objective and analyze the situation. If you're not able to be objective, it's good to seek out professional guidance, not in terms of a psychoanalyst or psychiatrist, but someone who has been in that profession for maybe a little longer amount of time. But that person can be cited also. Not everything is related to your blindness. So, stop attributing everything to the blindness, because a lot of times it's not. So be objective, invest in yourself, and then things don't sound as difficult as uh, they look to be in the beginning.
Oh my God. Why did you read my notes?
As in,
Okay, I had a question on how do you invest on yourself, okay, which you answered in advance, but okay.
good.
Saved one question. But anything memorable that you had in your corporate life, which was like a crown as on your head, as if like, even though you may not deem it something so big, but still, you can share with me any memorable, little achievement kind of stuff you were very happy about.
So I was in my current organization in a different team where I didn't fit well. Like I was not liking the kind of work uh, according to my skill set or my expectations. But there was a task which was related to the daily desk market commentaries as to if some market movement happened, then why did it happen? Or if, say, if my trader is trading in the shares of Fiat Chrysler and it moved so much, then why did it move so much? It can be any company. So there was a market commentary task which started at that time very, very recently, and I was quite interested in that. So that was given to me because I had prior experience in that. And that was something where I always wanted to connect finance numbers with text or with reasons. So that fascinates me the most. I was very interested there. So I started up that task, and I got a appreciation letter from the global head of our department, which has teams across the different continents, from Germany to India to Philippines to say US. So I got an appreciation letter, and I was also awarded by my own internally by the Indian management for the kind of work. So that was something which I was very happy about that. Yes,
That's
it was
very
something which
interesting.
was started
Huh?
by me, and then it bore fruits very early. So it was very nice.
It sounds very interesting to me as well to link the fact with the reason. That's so interesting. So uh, how envious it is to do. That's like, I think you would have definitely enjoyed doing it.
Yes, definitely. And even in my current job,
Mhm.
majority of the work is like that. So that's why I prefer that.
Yes. Okay. So when it comes to your corporate life and after that, what I wanted to ask you was, I had like known that learned this from you only, not from other source, but you paying off your student debt and or the loans, okay, and also saving, and I know you're pretty good at saving. And so my question is about that. So what would, some saving tips? So how did you manage your student debt? You paid it off like by yourself, paid it off. So can you talk about it?
A majority of chunk, yes. And I did get help from my father. But financially, I don't do anything very complex. I maintain a very simple Excel, which a lot of people in older times used to call it as a diary, which they used to
Excel is so
invest those
simple as
like
a diary.
expenses. Yes. So I just have a simple Excel sheet where I just record my daily expenses, which gives me an idea. Okay, how do I need, what is discretionary and what is necessary, and how much do I need in a month? So that helped me quite a lot to channelize my savings, and firstly towards paying off my loan, and then towards saving for myself. So, and I first save and then spend. So X percent of amount which I have decided, which is, I won't give a thumb rule in this. It's different for every person. But an X amount of money which I decided I will save, I just first separate it from my salary, and then the rest I use for my expenses and stuff. So that has helped me a lot. And when it comes to investing and all, I would say that's a very big topic. But bottom line is, I have also given a couple of webinars on National Association for the Blind YouTube channel. They are there. So where I've tried to simplify some of the terms in the industry. But yes, I mean, it is very much possible, and it's accessible as well. So it can be done.
And but sometimes people don't invest in stocks. No, sometimes like some of the people don't do that.
I would say that's a personal choice. You can start with big companies, which you know that these companies will not fail. And then gradually, when your money is invested, you tend to take interest, follow news, then you can gradually move towards more type of more companies, more different stocks and this and that, different sectors.
Okay.
So that's the way
Yes.
to go about it.
Probably diversifying.
Yes.
So, is there any approach? Would you like say that one's approach should be this way, not to put all the eggs in one basket or something like that? Any generic approach?
I would say don't be overconfident in terms of, okay, I would buy this, I would sell this. It's good. A lot of people are good traders, but and there are a lot of blind people who have turned to trading. A lot of people who have turned to trading rather, and a lot of blind people also. Why I'm saying this, because there are a lot of groups which extensively discuss this. So it's good, but never invest into something which you don't understand. So if you are investing in a derivative, if you are buying a call option, you first read what a call option is and how does it even function. Or if you are investing in, say, Maruti stock, just at least read how Maruti is doing and how is it in comparison with other competitors. So you may see, okay, Maruti sells probably every other car in our country, but then you'll realize that the every other car is not as valued as probably a luxury car company which makes more money out of it. So it helps to substantiate or eliminate your biases with data. So always look for data.
That's perfect. Yes, Mr. Buffett also used to say that, no, don't ever invest. I won't invest in anything that I don't understand. Uh,
Exactly.
oh my God, I know this much. Good.
Nice.
Okay. So I think probably I was researching Mr. Buffett for something, and that's why I heard him say this. Otherwise, I really don't have. Um, So, and how do you invest in yourself? You're really good at time management. So, in yourself, in relationships, and also your health. How do you optimize your time?
Relationships, yes. I mean, those who are important to me, my parents, my friends, I take a time to talk to them, to be connected with them, to share their feelings. And when it comes to health, I mean, recently I've started now, of course, because of mm, this coronavirus, and then the landscape has changed. But I had started some tandem cycling and other form of exercises. So light exercises I still follow and maintain a balanced diet. So usually it works out fine. It's necessary to de-stress. So at times I read, at times I listen to music, at times I just watch series on Netflix. So whatever pleases me. I mean, there is no fixed regime, I would say.
Anything on time management you think that that's really good that you follow something which may work out for people?
One tip I have already shared that slot your day in different buckets. That 2 hours is for study, then 2 hours for study.
Yes.
Next, um, follow it diligently, of course, and also it's important to stick to things, and it's important to say no, allow yourself some slack as well. So don't set too many ambitious targets lest you get drained very fast. Gradually increasing is the key to stick to your plans.
Compound. What is that? Something compounds. Um,
Compounding, the power of compounding.
Power of. Thank you for that correction, as always. So this is what you had on time management. This was what you had on time management.
Yes.
Okay. And if I ask you one question, what's your outlook on life? on one word?
I would say positive,
Great.
because we have, during our job in finance, when you rate things, you say positive, stable, or negative. I would say positive.
Okay. Okay.
So tomorrow will be better if you work for it.
Great. I'm going to take that from you, being always positive. Uh, and see, I've interacted with you a lot of times in these times, not very tough time of Corona and 5 lockdowns. And never once you told me things are scary, and I've never found you down, down or low. And scared also, you were never scared. So you have no fear of uncertainty. How do you handle uncertainty?
If it is uncertain, that means it's anyways a residual factor which you are not supposed to handle, right? So let's leave it then.
Great.
I mean, beyond a point of time, you cannot do anything. If you're following your precautions, you're doing your job, you should focus on that, whatever you can do. If whatever you
Great.
cannot do, I mean, it's okay to not focus about it. You cannot
Yes.
run the government. So there is no point in bombarding social media with political posts and wasting your energy on it.
Yes.
So
And
might as
also,
well do something which actually helps you.
true, 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 true. And also, how do you handle disappointments?
Well, that's a very typical HR interview question. So I'll give a typical interview answer that it's about accepting yourself. So if I accept myself, then I also accept the good as well as the bad side of things. So no, at times I may be able to do good things. At times I may be not able to do good things. Take a pause and try to do that thing again. Usually it works.
Okay. So, and also, I've always found you very excited about life. So, any motivation tip, or how do you keep yourself so excited? Anything you have to say? Or you would always say, I'm wired that way. Is that so?
Yes, I'm wired that way.
If I can take anything, from how you're wired, can I find anything? The circuit, can you let
Well,
me?
yeah, you will need to open the circuit then, because I also don't know.
Okay, let me leave it then. So, yeah, but also I'll keep the character watch open then. Okay,
Good,
I'll
good, good.
which I turned off yesterday. I will the observation mode on then.
Okay.
And now to coming back to giving, what I told you why I googled you, and now we come to the full circle. So I want to tell you why what was very curious about you. Uh, One thing was like that authentic self, being your own self. I know this, I don't know this, I'm sorry, I really don't know what mind map is. Oh, what a like very human presence, like admitting what the same person that you are. So to accessing the answers, and also answering everyone's, not everyone, at least, everybody cannot do that, but most of the time answering people's queries. And so I find you a very great giver, a mentor to so many, but I think many people would vouch for that. So how did that, and also if you learn something new, if you do something new, you would write an article, post it, talk about it, you will share, very generously to people about it. You'll, see to that it's get shared with, or at least people, to the people who needs it. So can you tell me, how did this giving part of you started?
So I first observed it with my first mentor, my computer instructor. At that time, my parents wanted someone to come home and teach me. So although we did agree on a set of fee for him, because we were like, it's definitely not for free, but he never asked for something, even though he may might have needed money at that point of time. So that inspired me quite a lot. And the dedication was beyond what actually he was receiving from us. Like he was on call, available almost, I would say, 24/7. I could call him just any time. And I did used to call him quite a lot during that 1.5 month. So then I realized that, knowledge is the best thing you can give to people. So, and I was like, let's separate my profession and my knowledge giving part. So, make your profession in something else. And as a volunteer, I can impart knowledge wherever I can. So, that is something which I try to follow wherever I can, be it teaching someone or be it short term assignments or even mentoring people. So that was the first observation, and it still sticks with me that knowledge should not be restricted. So that is something which I try to follow.
It's so nice. And I should always also say that you have been answering my calls anytime and answering my mails. Uh, so I'm also one of the people uh, whom you have really touched so many lives. So one of that is also remains mine. Thank you for
Thank you.
that. And finally, like about, can you talk about a favorite cause of yours?
I would say imparting knowledge.
And also, you were very much passionate about rehabilitation and people like bringing out of existing mere existence to enjoying life to the fullest.
Yeah, because see, I mean, I do work with an NGO called Blind Graduates Forum of India, and our main focus is one to impart knowledge and to also to give different experiences. So we should not lose our sight on imparting knowledge and say making people independent, but also rehabilitation is necessary, or I would say recreation is necessary. So I mean, in our activities we also used to focus that, okay, let's take people to a water park, or let's take someone to snow world, or go for an audio described movie. So that is something which helps, when from mere basics you actually move towards enjoyment. So that is something very near to me, and I try to do whatever I can in my limited capacity, be it arranging events through that NGO, or letting maximum people know about it, planning out things. So they are giving me a very good opportunity to, be a part of community and give it back. So yes, that is something which I look forward to, not just living or imparting knowledge, which is the first one, which thing which I do, but also recreation aspect of it, enjoying life.
So, what did you tell who is not somebody who is not associated with your NGO and who is sitting and listening from home, asking them to enjoy their life and have a rich life, not just eating and working?
Uh, so I would say post pandemic, there are a lot of companies which take people to different places, to outdoor tours which are accessible, and there is a lot of audio described content available. A lot of people have not watched a single audio described movie, so there are a lot of things on Netflix, on other sources of web also. I can't list everything here, but it's just the way of finding things, and then taking that plunge, maybe when things are safe, going out alone, meeting your friends, or going on a vacation, planning spending it on yourself, and having probably lifetime worth of memories. So it's never late to enjoy.
Hey, thank you so much for it. It was so good. And as always, tell me, great answers are gift for good questions.
Great question.